He publicly declared in the live stream that I was mentally unstable. He said I faked illness for 3 years to control and ruin his life. And I sat in the audience, watching everyone believe every word he said. They applauded loudly. They sympathized deeply. They had already sentenced me completely. And I did not stand up to defend myself or interrupt his narrative, because this entire public trial was something I had carefully arranged myself. My name is Lynn Carter, a project lead at a Chicago consulting firm, and also the person deliberately erased from this story's version of reality. 3 years ago, I began to get sick in a controlled, calculated way. Diarrhea, weakness, emotional breakdowns, all appearing at precisely critical life moments. Client presentations, internal meetings, social gatherings, every key situation disrupted completely. I became a ticking time bomb, unstable, unpredictable, impossible to rely on. Doctors diagnosed me with psychological disorders after observing repeated abnormal symptoms. Colleagues slowly distanced themselves. Friends gradually disappeared from my social circle. And him, Ethan Cole, became the perfect, patient, devoted husband in public. She needs help. I will never abandon her, he said calmly and convincingly. When he said those words, his eyes were steady, almost disturbingly sincere. Even I nearly believed the version of reality he was carefully constructing. His mother, Olivia Elegant, restrained and always appearing at precisely chosen moments. She never showed up frequently, only bringing food during important critical occasions, and every single time she appeared, I would inevitably have another severe episode. At first, I thought it was coincidence, something random, something beyond understanding. Later, I went for toxicology testing, quietly without informing anyone around me. The report showed I had been ingesting low doses of irritants long term. At that moment, I did not collapse emotionally or panic in confusion. I simply confirmed one crucial truth that changed everything I understood. I was never actually sick. The problem had always been them. I tested Ethan by showing him the report and asking directly. He said the doctor might be mistaken, the data possibly misinterpreted. I asked if someone could have tampered with anything around me. He said I was starting to imagine things that were not real. His tone was gentle, calm, but every word quietly invalidated me. That was when I realized the true nature of what they were doing. They were not just harming me physically, they were redefining my identity. As long as I was labeled unstable, nothing I said would ever matter. That is a far more efficient, invisible, and socially accepted form of destruction. I did not call the police, nor did I expose them immediately, because I saw a larger structure forming behind everything happening to me. They needed me to keep being sick to maintain their constructed narrative. So I began cooperating, documenting everything with extreme precision and patience. Every episode, every meal, every reaction he showed in each situation. I even began fabricating symptoms without consuming anything she had prepared, making myself appear unstable even when no external trigger was present. So everyone would believe more firmly that the problem was entirely me. 3 years passed, and I shaped myself into someone completely unreliable. Until that livestream event where he stood confidently on stage speaking. He told our marriage story, how much he endured, how much he sacrificed. The audience applauded continuously as he completed his perfect narrative loop. And then I walked onto the stage, calm, controlled, without visible emotion. No anger, no breakdown. I simply placed a file down before him. Toxicology reports, 3-year timelines, dosage records, everything precisely documented, and one audio recording. Olivia's voice, cold, calculated, unmistakably clear. Lower the dosage a bit, she will last longer that way. The entire room fell silent instantly, the shift in atmosphere almost physical. For the first time, he lost control and composure in front of everyone. This is not real, he said, voice shaking, breaking under pressure. I looked directly at him and said quietly, "You always knew." The large screen behind us lit up, displaying all corresponding data points. No emotions presented, only logic, patterns, undeniable structured evidence. The audience began to hesitate, doubt spreading visibly across their faces. Live comments started reversing rapidly, questioning everything they believed moments earlier. This is abuse, he knew. This is insane. Messages flooded continuously. His carefully constructed narrative began collapsing piece by piece in real time. And I thought at that moment, this would be the final conclusion. But it was not, because there was still one final layer remaining. I looked toward the audience and said one simple, deliberate sentence. But this is not the whole truth, I said, letting silence expand. The room fell completely still again, every person waiting for what came next. I opened the final document, revealing detailed bank records and transfers. Every timeline, every movement, pointing clearly toward a single undeniable conclusion. I looked at him and said, "This was never just about controlling me. It was always about money," I continued, watching his expression collapse. 3 years ago, I signed an insurance policy worth $1 million. The beneficiary listed was him, Ethan Cole, my so-called devoted husband. And one clause stated, "Chronic psychological illness resulting in death triggers payout." The entire room erupted, shock spreading like fire through the audience. His face completely fell apart, losing every trace of earlier composure. People stood up, shouting, recording, chaos beginning to consume the space. I continued speaking steadily, maintaining complete control over every word delivered. "You never needed to kill me directly," I said, voice calm. "You only needed everyone to believe I would destroy myself eventually. So when I died, I would just be another unstable woman. Not a victim, not a target, just a tragic, predictable outcome." The live stream comments exploded completely, spiraling beyond any control possible. "This is a murder plan. Call the police. He planned everything." Messages flooded. He stepped backward, finally looking like someone cornered with no escape left. But it still was not over, not even close to its real ending. I paused briefly, then said, "But you miscalculated one critical detail." The entire room held its breath, waiting for the final revelation. I looked directly into the camera, speaking clearly to everyone watching. "From the day I received the first toxicology report," I said slowly, "I already knew exactly what you were doing behind all of this. I did not stop it because I needed a complete chain of evidence, including you," I added, turning my gaze directly back toward him. "Every time you stayed silent," I said, voice unwavering and precise, "was proof that you were part of this entire plan as well." He completely broke down, attempting to rush toward me in desperation. Security intervened immediately, restraining him as the scene descended into chaos. People shouted, cameras flashed, the illusion shattered beyond repair, and I simply stood there quietly, like someone finishing a long project. I said nothing more, turned around and walked off the stage calmly. The next day, the news exploded across every major platform and channel. The headline was simple, direct, impossible to ignore or reinterpret. "Woman exposed 3-year poisoning and insurance plot live." He was investigated, his accounts frozen, his company suspended his position. She was taken in for questioning, her perfect mother image completely erased. And I returned to my life. No symptoms, no illness, no labels. Someone later asked me, "Why did you wait for 3 entire years?" I only answered with one sentence. Simple, but completely truthful. "Because they wanted me to disappear from existence entirely," I said. "So I let their world exist first, fully, completely, without interruption. And then I destroyed it with my own hands." I finished calmly, but the story was still not over. Not even after everything collapsed. Because 1 week later, the police contacted me with new findings. They said they discovered unusual transfer records within my accounts. "You changed the beneficiary 2 years ago," they told me directly. I smiled slightly and did not deny anything they had uncovered. That was the moment they finally understood the deeper truth beneath everything. This 3-year game was never played by them alone from the beginning. I was also playing carefully, patiently, calculating every possible outcome. And the real question that remained unanswered, dividing everyone watching, was who actually started this entire game before anyone else realized. The comment section split into chaos. arguments forming instantly everywhere. Some people called me a victim. Others called me the manipulator. And I offered no explanation, no clarification, no attempt to correct anyone, because the truth has never belonged entirely to just one side.